Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On the occasion of the International Women's Day, I wish to extend warm greetings to all Maldivian women and men in the country and around the world on behalf of the Maldives National Party. The International Women's Day brings a new opportunity for every Maldivian to make a new determination. It is a time to set new targets and chart out a new roadmap. It is indeed a time to set a new direction and bring in a course correction to the way in which we seek to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment in the Maldives. The theme for this year, Digit All, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality, shows us the direction we should choose. It captures the essence of what we need to do and elegantly summarizes what we in the Maldives have failed to do. The Maldives has to start work towards achieving the target of digital for all. We have to deploy innovation and technology for achieving gender equality. We've got to start the work today, right now. Our leaders often tell us repeatedly that they have plans, that they have policies, that they are enacting laws and regulations for gender equality. What we need is action. Action that will enable the Maldives to achieve gender parity, gender equality, and empower women and girls to occupy their rightful place in society. We at the Maldives National Party have already begun to take actions on gender equality. We recognize that policies and plans are meaningful only if they're translated into actions that make impact. Under the visionary leadership of the party president, Maumoon, the Maldives National Party is determined to place the work of gender equality towards achieving gender parity in key socio-political indicators, including women's representation in the parliament and in leadership positions in the public and private sectors. But what matters today, right now, is what the government is doing or is not doing towards achieving gender equality. My question to the government is this: are you doing anything that will fundamentally shift the conversation about gender equality? Are you doing anything that is making a positive and meaningful impact to the lives of every woman and girl in this country? For what we are witnessing is complete inaction, and it is the inaction that speaks louder than words. The Maldives is far behind every other comparable nation in gender equality. We have not yet started a conversation in this country about innovation and technology for gender equality. The Maldives is yet to begin even to crawl, let alone to walk, in the march towards such a paradigm. But other countries, even those that are lagging behind the Maldives in many areas, are busy in deploying innovation and technology for gender equality. But the government of Maldives has not even begun to start thinking about it. Thinking about policy has always been a problem for this government. The top leadership appears to be defective when it comes to thinking about national issues. The country's leadership does not see digital for all as a priority goal. They don't see the importance of teaching the knowledge and skills in schools to help develop innovation and technology. There is strong evidence showing that countries will not make advances in digital education, innovation, and technology unless STEM subjects are taught at schools, ideally from grades 1 to 12. STEM subjects, which include science, technology, engineering, and math, help to put in place the building blocks for students' creativity, innovation, and critical thinking. That's a fact that most countries and most policymakers recognize and accept. But the government we have elected to manage educating our young children don't recognize that. By ignoring such evidence, the government has betrayed Maldivian girls and boys. The government has betrayed Maldivian women. The government has betrayed our trust. But the government tries to hide the betrayal by not collecting or publishing the data that would reveal the extent of the government negligence. A World Bank report published in April 2021 shows that in Maldivian schools, performance in maths declines as students progress from primary to middle school to secondary. I, just like many of you, am a mother and a school parent. I have seen the difficulties that students and schools face when a student decides to select science stream at secondary level. Schools struggle with the lack of demand for science subjects. They struggle to find good teachers for those subjects. Why? Because the government underinvests in STEM subjects. It underinvests and neglects in training quality teachers. The government has misplaced priorities. A simple example of the extent to which the government underinvests in teacher education is that the Faculty of Education at MNU, which is the main teacher educating institution, is allocated 13.5 million rupiah in this year's budget. Faculty of Engineering Technology is given 13.8 million rupiah. But the Maldives High Commission in Colombo, whose only purpose is to give jobs to the government's party activists residing in Colombo, is given a budget of 36.7 million rupiah for this year. If that money is given to the MNU, it can run 3 additional teacher educating facilities or faculties. Just like the lack of investment in teacher training in STEM subjects, the government also doesn't have a clue about digital education in the Maldives. It does not collect that data. The government does not appreciate the value of having data and developing policies based on evidence. The government, therefore, doesn't have a policy or plan of action for achieving the goal of digital for all. It's true that the Maldives has the highest internet subscription rate in South Asia. And yet, internet downloading speed in the Maldives is among the slowest in the region, and much slower compared to the other small island developing states. In India, for example, the download speed is 54.7 megabyte per second. In Bangladesh, the speed is 33.5. The Maldives remains far behind at 24.5 megabytes per second. It is true that Maldives was the first in South Asia to introduce 5G technology, and yet, according to the World Bank data, about 30% of the population still uses 2G technology. What the situation shows is that the government has no intention of achieving digital for all, does not intend to deploy innovation and technology for gender equality. And yet the government definitely does nothing, absolutely nothing to accelerate work on gender equality. There was a time when the Maldives did quite well in the Global Gender Equality Index, but no more. The World Bank's Country Policy and Institutional Assessment Score for Gender Equality shows that the Maldives is backsliding. The score for the Maldives in 2013 was at 4.5 out of the 1 to 6 scale, on the 1 to 6 scale. It was by no means a perfect score, but we were on an upward trajectory. But 10 years later, our score has now dropped to 3.5. That's a shameful performance by the government on gender equality. Today's reality is that 3 out of every 10 female youth is without a job and not enrolled in an educational institution. Today's reality is labor force participation amongst women of all ages is 34.3%, and in 2010 the rate was at 37%. Today's reality is that women's share of senior management positions, both in the government and in the private sector, remain below 20%. That's the betrayal of Maldivian women's talents, their skills, and their expertise. That betrayal continues because the thinking of the powerful men who currently lead this country are shaped by some ancient dogmas about women and their role in society. It looks like their thinking is driven by the belief that women somehow might be incapable of leadership. But the opposite is true. I have done research on women's leadership at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy in the US in 2020. In the research, I found that countries led by women did exceptionally well in their response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Germany, under its Chancellor Angela Merkel, and New Zealand, under Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, showed that women can, and in fact do, outperform men in setting powerful vision and inspiring people towards achieving that vision. These two women leaders showed to the world that women can, indeed, be courageous leaders, that they have mastered the difficult art of constructing and maintaining consensus on contentious issues, that they have the extraordinary ability to listen to the experts and make informed judgments about the correct course of action. These two visionary leaders also showed the world that being a woman does not make a person incapable of performing even the most complex and challenging leadership tasks. There is every reason then to believe that women in other parts of the world, including in the Maldives, can and should assume greater leadership roles, especially in challenging times. The share of women in the population is 50%. Women's share in every aspect of society, including politics and the economy, should reflect that share. We can achieve that only if we abandon the ancient views about women. Only when we start thinking about women as equal fellow human beings, as equal fellow citizens, and as equal partners who can play equally critical and crucial roles in nation building. As we've got to start, and today is the right day, the International Women's Day. It is the ideal time to start our journey with high hopes and unfaltering commitment. We will, inshallah, succeed. Thank you.